I have a lot to talk about.
Oh
So,
yes, it's good stuff as well.
is there anything you want to cover before I start ranting?
It's probably going to be the same stuff. So you rant first, and then I'll do the backup rant.
Okay, so um, our back and forth on the tickets, I believe, is due to the lack of a pool. If we had a pool, a lot more of our discussion, I think, would align. QA is only relevant in relation to a pool.
Yes. Yeah.
Request formatting, only relevant to a pool. Request idea being a dream. I think that that's relevant always, but a formatted QA'd request and a formatted QA'd idea is only relevant in relation to a pool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I am concerned that you do not take to heart the metric of open-mindedness that we look for from the Dreamcatcher, and I say that because of several minor things, so I might be wrong, but one of them is that I detect an affinity from you for matching request IDs to idea IDs.
Yes, but there could be multiple ideas. It's a many to many, right? An idea can be linked to many requests.
Yes. Why do you want to match? Why do you want to have matching IDs?
Because what you want is backwards and forwards on that one. So I put up an idea. Now you could just, shout out your idea, and someone picks up. Sorry, shout out your request. Someone picks up with an idea. However, the person putting that request up, if they put any kind of thought in that thought is useful in honing your idea, and so there is a link there. But why?
There is, but it's just.
The important thing is it's not a one-to-one. It's a many-to-many.
Yeah, but it's also important that we're trying to make it many-to-many rather than fostering one-to-one. The whole reason why we split out requests and ideas was because of the solutioneering that we were naturally drifting towards doing. And splitting out requests from ideas is not a trivial thing. It's not a commonplace thing. It's more common to talk in terms of dreams, or what we class as dreams. And so I just want to really extra stress that splitting of requests and ideas is our API, or making requests have a clean API, a good API, increases the number of ways that it can be satisfied. Like increasing the world's innovation, part of that job is separating requests from ideas.
Right, exactly. And I'm just reviewing your comments to the issues, and I raised an issue on exactly this one about an idea can also have an embedded request. So this is not.
Did you I know I might be jumping the gun. Have you had a chance to read through my responses to your tickets?
I'm about halfway through and on one read through.
Okay.
So yes, but
sweet. Yeah, I can skip ahead for a few things then. So I do believe that you can only specify requests as a dependency of an idea or of a request, because that is the open-endedness or the interface. Like being specific on an idea kills innovation. Being specific on a request opens innovation. Our systems, like I feel like I have to sort of fight for this one, that it's the requests that increase the openness, the open-mindedness, the ability to be solved by different ways. Is vital, and yet I don't feel like it's baked in yet.
Well, this is why I've been defining it as a pure problem. and pushing back on a couple of points about the formatting of it. The formatting of it really, as I said at the top of this call, is oh, you've gone. That's just quite a scary painting you've got behind you, by the way. Someone eating a butterfly. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But the request, and I'm actually halfway through writing a response on this one. The kind of the entry point is, I was thinking, someone walking down the beach and you've got a phone and you just have this idea and you should be able to put that up now.
Oh yeah. So that none of that is precluded by introducing a pool and saying that a pool is a well-formatted, QA'd collection. That means that you can just dump stuff in any way that you like.
Right. And
that's really what we want, right?
Exactly. And the cascade thing, which is one of the points raised, and I think I've read through your response, and I think we're in agreement on this one. If you embed a request, it can't just be an expansion. It's got to be a request that actually makes sense on its own, and so without seeing anything else that refers to it, it should be able to do
a pool.
Say again, sorry?
Relative to a pool. We welcome you to be as sloppy as you like. Others can do the refining for you. We don't want to in any way block entry, but we're just saying that if you want to be part of our pool, you have to meet a certain standard, that's all.
Yes, no, I agree on that one. No, this is a separate point, or the next point, which is if you have an embedded request, that embedded request has to stand on its own feet. So you should be able to pick up that request and see there's value in this without reference to anything that's embedded in, because otherwise it's just an expansion. It's just nesting for nesting's sake.
Interesting accusation coming from you, sir.
Like, indentation is not the same as somewhat similar. Okay, and with the idea, what I was arguing is you can have a partial solution. And have a nested request there that, again, the same thing is it should be self-sufficient in its own right. Someone should pick that up and say, like, I can't do this bit. If someone else did this bit, then this idea matches what this request is looking for. So that's the nesting, or that's the kind of the well, it's not really waterfall, but the hierarchy of it. But the other part,
the dependency graph,
right, and it is a graph. It's not really it's not a tree at all. It is a graph.
No, but the critical thing I want embedded somehow is that you can only depend on requests in a pool-based model. So pooling, I take to mean of like Dreamcatcher quality. You're part of the machine if you're in a pool. If you're outside of a pool, you're just dust. You're just sort of like, you can become value, but you're just dust. We're going to drag you in.
I think we're. I have this. I don't think it's at odds with what you're saying, but it's a different look on it. I don't think if you're outside of a pool, it's dust. I think there can be a self-organizing, unformatted set of requests and ideas that actually go on to do great things without any gatekeepers, without any QA, and so on. Yeah. However, as soon as you ask for money...
I'm not saying that you have to. I'm saying that you're welcome to be as sloppy as you like.
Right.
Just don't ask to be part of a pool unless you at least fit the formatting.
Right.
And then don't ask to be part of particular pools because their gatekeepers will kick you out. Like, that's how we go from just chatter in a bar to a security audited, militarily deployed piece of machinery. Like,
right, exactly.
This is one of the increase in value.
Exactly. And that transition from I don't know, it's almost like the kind of wild ideas, so untamed requests and ideas. An untamed request and idea pair could spontaneously, with a bunch of people who want to do it, turn into a project that could actually deliver the whole thing and end up with Linux, for example. However, the moment that you talk to a pool, what you're saying is we're going to be doing this thing for, you've advertised the contract, you've advertised the QA authority, you've advertised the QA requirements. We need to match that. It's a bit like when you apply for a grant, say, if you're making a film, you apply to the government for a grant for that film. They're going to ask you to put your application into a certain format because without that, they can't be fair between ideas and you can't really compare ideas. You've got to have some kind of consistency inside the pool. Between pools, it can be anything. It could be anything.
So what I made today was the first iteration of our pool.
Yep, I saw that. Are you referring to the market?
Yep.
Yep.
In the market document.
Yep, got it up now. Also streaming that, if that's all right. I assume it is.
Okay, so this is closer to what I imagine the pool with the NFT'd requests and ideas starts to look like.
Right. So
this thing here.
I'll look through this, and I'll look through also the issue comments that generated this or generated the work that you did on this. So, first of all, you take me through it. I think I know what's happening, but you take me through it. So we got market locked, finalized.
The problem. Please don't think that my inclusion of any of these requests or ideas in any way signifies an endorsement of their quality.
Yeah.
I think
we're bootstrapping. Yeah, we're bootstrapping. Yeah.
I wanted to do this as an example.
Yeah.
Now, the process I see happening is we have the NFA section where we've been working in right now.
Mm-hmm.
I say that continues to be where we just chuck in stubs, wild ass ideas, anything like that. The only purpose of that queue is to enter it in Git as an unrefined idea and to assign it an ID.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
And then gradually it goes up and up in quality until you and I think that we're ready to start considering it for inclusion in the pool. Mm-hmm. When we both have accepted that this request or idea is ready for the pool, and we have accepted that the proposed links between the requests and ideas are also up to QA standard, where a link is stated by nesting the idea underneath the request. I've tried to indent it and give it a little angle bar line.
So reference R06 into block leads to angle bar 06 I06 IPF's FS rewrite. Yeah.
When we think that it's reached a sufficient standard, we copy the item over into the pools folder. And what that means is that that's the version that we're QAing. People are free to modify the one in the NFA section, but the one that went into the pool is fixed until the next time we do a QA approval. And I think that's easier than using branches.
Yeah. Okay. And in this pool page, open is the ideas and requests that have not yet passed QA. Locked?
No. Every single thing in this page has passed QA.
Right. In that case, it's misnamed. So this isn't a market. This is the Dreamcatcher pool, or
No, it's a market because once it has passed QA is the only way that you get to access our market. And the only way that money can be assigned to these things. We are saying that in our pool, you can only back requests and ideas that have passed QA.
Yes, but what the point I'm saying is the gatekeeper, the QA, is the QA that we're putting in place for this pool. So this is not an open market. The way I'm reading this is market open. This is like anyone can see it, anyone can pick it up.
Look, we can choose a different word. The point of open is that no funds are committed. It's sort of negotiations happening. People are saying, I think it'll take this long.
Okay.
I think that it costs this much. I have this much money towards it. I think this is where the negotiation happens. I was meaning open, as in it's still, nothing's locked. There's no money in escrow.
I see. Right. Sorry. Yeah, misread. Okay. So what we'll suggest, and I'll make the changes if you agree. What we're talking about, the NFA's folder, as you know, you can throw anything in there. That's the that's the Open Dreamcatcher market. This is the pool. This is the pool, and so in this pool, open is under negotiation, locked is agreed, and in progress. Yeah. Okay.
And final is when it comes out of lock and QA deems it successful, then it moves to finalized.
No.
Then it is.
Yeah, and we're still only talking about the definitions as in requests and ideas. We're not talking about having executed on those.
I was meaning finalized to be the execution is complete and an asset has been produced.
So that's done. Finalized is
done. The fact that it's in this pool means that the request itself is complete or the idea itself is complete. This pool is where they come to have their asset worked on.
Right. Okay.
Right, the place. That's why some of these are landing and they're still in open, and they've got I think the IPFS rewrite has 31 Pomodoros attached to it, but it never was locked. Right, that's the time I've spent on it before it actually got locked. That's all contribution that's been made to it. I wasn't being selfish. I just ran out of time. I didn't transcribe your log over.
Don't worry
either.
About it.
But
yeah, it's an example.
This is what I mean. That it doesn't help us to be. We should never be logging effort against an issue. It's always about the asset and the model change I wanted to introduce was that a request and an idea and an asset are all the same thing, except that a request and an idea are assets that haven't happened yet. But we need to be able to talk about them as though they have and treat them as a thing. So they're a promise. A request and an idea are a promise to be an asset. But so long as we put a marker there instead and say that this is that asset with the special condition that it doesn't exist yet and it's in process, then we can start to do useful things like talk about whole collections of them. And in programming, that would be like a promise. And a request is where you made the function call and you haven't even got back your promise yet. The idea is the promise. The promise will eventually either resolve or reject.
Right.
But it's very useful to be able to treat that future as a thing. So it's like a future on a future asset, a forward asset. It's useful to think of it as the same thing. I think I certainly have been over emphasizing their difference from an asset. But when you put them in a pool, you kind of want to be talking about them as though they are there.
Right. Yes, I'd agree with that. Because
and it makes things simpler. It makes a lot of what we've been discussing in the tickets simpler to think about them, a request, an idea, and an asset all as the same thing. Just one's promised and one's real. And second of all, to introduce the pool concept where every notion of standard and quality comes in.
Yes, okay. So your analogy was good there. So the function call and the promise which may eventually resolve or be rejected.
That was Ben's analogy, actually. That was very, very helpful.
That's a good one. And really what you're interested in is, this whole thing is in order to get an outcome. And ideally it would be resolved but even a failed outcome is, information. It
Yeah.
is an outcome. And if you wrap those in, what we're doing is we've kind of got a single entity there, which has a number of subparts, the request being one, the idea being another one, and that's what we really want to deal with. And in order to get into this queue, we're saying that you need to be requesting, this function call needs to have certain parameters, otherwise we can't consider it. The idea needs to have certain parameters, otherwise we can't consider it. Once it's in there, this pool can process it under our rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's a nice analogy. I like that.
Yeah. And so that's why, like, when you log time against an issue, that doesn't fit the NFT model, because the NFT model is only asset driven.
Yes.
You either work promise of an asset, or you worked on some of the metadata required to prepare that promise.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, when I was doing that, because we've only started at the start of this week, or I've only started at the start of this week in the Pomos kind of manner. And I was thinking along, right, okay, I've just spent 2-3 hours going through issues, responding to issues and so on. And this is a very human response. It's like, I don't want you to think I've been just sitting playing Angry Birds for those hours. I want you to see that I'm actually doing something, even though 3 hours of the day is just evaporated. But they're valuable.
Yeah, so this is the key insight that I gained from what we're trying to do by NFTing work, is to turn events into things. Mm-hmm. And I think Pomodoro is about the smallest meaningful amount of event that you can turn into a dedicated thing. And the sooner we can get our software to a stage where you can run the Pomodoro app and it generates an NFT every Pomodoro, and that those things get tied inextricably to an outcome, the sooner we can get to that level, the better.
Right.
But it's a great human fallacy to be thinking that you're working on a task, and then when the task is complete, you give yourself a shot of dopamine because you're like, exactly. I did something valuable.
Which is what
like, you didn't.
The Pomodoro thing is there to give you dopamine, and it's like, keep going because you've just got a ping and a whistle and all that kind of thing. But the point I was making is, quite a lot of these issues, it is useful work. However, putting out an issue that doesn't relate directly to an asset, being a request ID or pair. That is just like, I could be chatting about, I don't know, fucking football for all you, and racking up my hours on issues on football. No use whatsoever. So issues need to be locked into that before you can log the time. And if the issue is just, for example, a lot of the issues that we're coming up with is talking about requests and ideas and what's the process and formats and so on. What's that? What's the asset that we're actually working on?
That's what we got to be diligent and always trying to pop our head up above the muck and be like, where are we trying to get to? What is the thing that comes out of this?
Right.
If I can't justify that, I shouldn't be moving in this direction.
Right. Yeah. Well, you can still throw stuff out there, but you just can't log it. And so, that is dust. Issues without an asset is dust.
It's dream dust.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is annoyingly, it is the source of all value, that dream dust.
Yes, because that's where the unformed ideas come from. But unformed ideas is cheap. Dream dust is plentiful. Just throw it out there.
Yeah, but you don't know which one's a diamond and which one's a piece of sand.
Exactly. But until you've got a hard asset to work against. I mean, we were talking about this 4 years ago. You remember in Penkridge? About
so I think what we're really saying is that the Dreamcatcher has facility to enter dust.
Yeah.
Any way you like, but it's not valuable until you make a dust refinery, and that's what the pools are. And that's where we can absolutely talk about format and structure, because we're like, look, if someone makes a competing format and a competing structure, you're still drawing on the same dust as us. So we're going to grab your thing and we're going to use it too. Exactly. We're going to pay you for it, but we're going to use it. And let's find the best way to refine dust into valuable assets.
Right. And this was actually, just as you called there, this was the comment on the issue that I was typing up about whether actually we need a different term. So requests and ideas equals a dream. The dream is the wrapper that ultimately produces an asset. But what we're talking about is, the example, I want a pony. You just throw it out there. That's dust, a huge amount of dust. And so you imagine each pool as being a refinery that takes this dust and under its own process produces useful stuff. Different processes for different pools, that's fine. We probably need, maybe we should call it dust. I think you mentioned, you used the word yop, which comes from the journal app that, I used the Walt Whitman.
Like I just want to, what I was trying to get at there was that when you just dump dust down, it's either a pure request, which is rare, a pure idea, which is rare, or most likely it's a sloppy dream.
That's right.
Which has within it both those things. And the key that I'm trying to get at, the key that I'm trying to somehow bake into the mechanics of the dream catcher is that to turn dust into assets, you must separate the requests from the ideas. That's a critical step in the refining process.
We believe that for our pool, there may be other ways, but we believe that.
I know, but that's what we're banking on, right? Like, this is a great time to point out if you have doubts about that core concept.
Oh, no. I think it's only I'm just raising some humility that there might be a better way that we've just never thought of. This is the way, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, great. But this is, as far as we know, this is the way.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? The separation of those two.
So, I'd like to propose actually using a different name for these unformatted requests. So a request that hasn't gone into a format with the intention of being submitted to a pool through QA for consideration. Before that, I think we should call it dust. I think that's quite a good term. It's a thing.
I don't think so. No. I don't think so at all. I think that we should not be the ones that say when is a request not a request, when is an idea not an idea. It's whatever the submitter says it is. If they click on, I want to just have a really sloppy request, as far as we know, it is a request.
That's just a different QA process. You could have our QA process is it written in English, and have very low quality. I'm
talking about the tools that we will offer to anybody who's going to use our system. Is this way to just dump in dust. When you go to dump dust, you will need to specify, is it a request, an idea, or a dream? And we'll give you a default. If you didn't tell us that it wasn't a dream, then it's a dream. If you put an effort to refine it further, you can call it whatever you like. Right. The difference is when you get to our pools, we are going to scrutinize it and make sure that your definitions match our definitions.
Yeah.
But we are going to, in our platform, define requests, ideas, and dreams right at the entry point. Like, you haven't entered our platform yet until you meet that simple format. It's not a big format, and we pick a default. So if you were blind and stupid, you're gonna be doing it right. Anyway.
Yeah.
If you name it different because of its quality, who are you to say where the boundary is? Pools.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't defining it as a. And this is probably a conversation. This is not an argument that's a particularly valuable one to go down. But what I was saying is, it's not a quality shift; it's a phase change. And the phase change is you've got whatever you want to put into, any format you want. The phase change is from that to passing QA in a pool. And we've defined what you need to do in order to get that stage gate, and that's a phase change. But as I say, it's not an argument that's particularly valuable to go down.
Okay, so the pool thing that I put forward there has some basic formatting changes beyond what we were doing in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I started naming the documents as just the ID. And what I found was that if you make the first line in the document have a single hash sign and then you put a title in there, that's what will turn up in the sidebar. So all those documents you see in the pool are actually not named the full name. The only name, the name of the file is just the id.md. And the reason for that, the reason for that is because, first of all, the links in the document stay very concise. And when we're dealing with tables look goddamn butt ugly if you have really long lines in one cell.
Yeah, they really do. I'm looking to see what you're mentioning here. Where's this? So I've just gone into pools requests r01.md. Where's this hash?
Are you looking at the source code or are you looking on the website?
I'm looking in Git, and
Git.
I'm now looking at the MD. Oh, I see what you're saying. All right, okay. Oh yeah, so it's just it's title. That's a title, right?
Yeah, that gets interpreted specially and gets used in the sidebar. But what it means is that it frees us up to change the title anytime we like, and all our links don't break.
Right. Okay. Good.
So that's just a housekeeping thing that I'm asking. That I'm asking for.
That works, and that actually answers one of the things I was going to pick up on, because I saw renaming R01, R02, and so on, and that's actually not helpful if you're navigating in Git, but navigating in the website is just going to be there, and it's going to make sense.
Yeah. So I don't know if that makes it difficult for you if you're just editing in a raw text editor with just text files.
Yeah, it does a bit, but
I can help.
So again,
I mean, ideally, you should be running a developer version of the web page, which will hot reload whenever you press save on those files. Because what I notice a lot is you push changes and then the build is broken, so it doesn't actually publish on the website.
Yes.
Because Docusaurus detects when you have broken links and things like that.
Yeah.
No, I don't mind fixing them up when I get in the morning.
But it's going to be a bit irritating after a while. Yeah.
Well, it happens, but it's just that if we use this format that I'm pushing for, then the links will break way less. Yeah. Because they won't break because you change the title.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So if you're cool with that, then next working day I'll go and do the renames on the.
Yeah. I'll get. I've not had a local server running up version of this website yet, but I saw you saying run YAM. So. Yeah, that's probably the way.
If you want some help, Sam, that's fine. If you want to just continue with your text documents and you find that easy, that's fine too. Yeah. I'm just trying to, having the titles in the documents is actually causes a lot of pain when you go to do links in tables.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I can see the sense of that. All right.
Okay. It also means that when we copy from the dust zone or outside the pool into the actual pool, the ID and the file name all stay stable, so it makes it a lot simpler to just do that copy.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, I mean that was that pool. is my version that, yeah, sure, it needs refinement in a bunch of places, but that's my idea of how manual the basics of pooling and NFT-based work should work, which I feel like is a big deal to be able to make that statement.
Now, we really should, if we were to be complete about this, we'd be making a big deal about the QA being the gatekeeper. So the QA process, we can define simplistically as you and I both are in sync and happy.
It's just you and me, and we don't need to use any tooling or anything like that. I think that we both know when we both agree.
Yeah.
And we know. So
we know when we're in locks.
That,
I just want to make sure, because I'm not entirely sure I've hoisted it all in, the definition of open in market as it currently stands. What's the definition of open?
Yeah. You're asking me what it is?
Yeah, have we got it written down? Have we got that nailed?
It's open for funding.
Okay, so the QA is, we've got request an idea in the formats that we've been specifying, and open is, it's a hopper of things that could be funded but haven't yet been funded.
Yeah, open for funding.
Right. And how does that, because you could get an idea, request idea lock that's open for funding, it's just not been chosen to be progressed. So we've got locked there, which feels like you could have a lock inside of open.
Well, locked means that, see, it's not a lock on the pair, it's a lock on the funding.
Right.
And I don't know how, and I don't think there's any point in figuring out how to do contract negotiations in Markdown with Git. I don't know how to do that. In an app, I imagine that it wouldn't be that hard, but in Git with Markdown, I'm like, man, I don't even fucking know. But locked.
Sorry, as far as I understand, sorry to interrupt, just so you can pick up where my thinking might be wrong. Open is past the format, and there's a request, an idea, or in certain circumstances, is there only a request and only an idea? So basically,
you can have only a request that can pass QA, but if you have an idea pass QA, it must enter targeting at least one request, possibly several.
Right, because otherwise, it's not working.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing, son? Who wants what you're thinking?
Exactly. And locked is a bit like in process for this pool. It's like we're working on that.
Once the money turns up, locked means that some actual funds have been set aside from the pool amount and have been escrowed,
right?
Pending the completion of this task or the timeout.
That's the important thing, isn't it? And so the real difference is between open and locked is the agreement of a contract. And the contract might be entirely simple. It'd be like, let's do it. But the funds are now escrowed, and the important point there is once you're in locked, the funds are outside of the pool and in the hands of the QA to release.
Yeah,
that's a substantial.
And I do think that you can have multiple different locks. Like you can have people working on the same thing in competition, but that's probably a more of an advanced feature.
Yeah. Well, it's not complicated. We're barely, scratching around. The two of us at the moment. It's not complicated.
I mean, like ideally, we want to have money in there, and then people who have the money. And what I suggest we do is we just make up an amount. We just say that you and I have $1,000 a month or something.
Yeah.
And we spend it how we want. The simplest way is same as we have logs for our time. We can just have like a balance sheet for the two of us that says where we spent our money, and so long as it roughly adds up, that's kind of it. Like that's an app would be so much easier. This would be a little bit fiddly. Maybe we'll learn something from it. That's kind of why I didn't go any further, because I'm like, I don't think we gain that much from the extra effort of doing the negotiation in Markdown. We should just wait for the app.
Yes, and also, I mean, what we're negotiating against, what are going to be the terms we're negotiating against? It's like is.
And what happens if the escrow passes and it didn't get done? You know, like it's all kinds of like. It just seems like it sounds frustrating, more frustrating than I think it would be beneficial. But that's
Well, I may do this, or I may propose this down the line in a couple of weeks' time. It would be maybe useful to get into this process an asset that is the contract, and even if that asset has a single line saying, I don't know, it's like because I said so, I'll go. Remember, we were talking about that. It's like, you know, handshake or something like that, just to track it.
I mean, the fact that it's going in Markdown, I mean, this pool's a bit of a nightmare to do in Markdown, and you know, keeping us both on track with format, while at the same time we keep inventing new modifications to the format to solve a different problem. It's like I can't be fucked dealing with the negotiation part in Markdown.
Yeah,
this will get us to the app, right? The key principle is working on NFTs.
Yeah.
Not working on issues, not working on nothing that gets recorded. The thing we want has a picture attached to it. I can look at it and go, I may have no money, but at least I got these little pictures.
I've got my card. I've got my playing card. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's better than nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And now I have something that I can jump up and down about and be like, where's my security guardian token? Where's my Dreamcatcher token? You know, like all these things, I can want them now. Whereas the problem with software developers and tech people in general is that you can't ever grab them by anything. There's no handle on them because it's such a fucking woolly, fluffy, nebulous thing, and they'll always wiggle out of it. And you're like, fuck you. Fuck the whole lot of you. But these NFTs, I can jump up and down about wanting the request idea NFT now. And you more or less know what I want, right?
Yeah, yeah, because it's past QA, and so at very least we're talking about the same thing and the same level of detail.
The value in that should not be underestimated. Look at how far a certain elderly gentleman got, and it turns out that at the end, he actually didn't know what we were making, and we had so many conversations about it in great detail. Didn't actually know what the thing was. We were talking about something different to what was in his head.
Yeah, yeah. And that's remarkable, actually, but not unusual. Actually, it's typical.
Not unusual in the slightest, right?
Yeah.
But at least if we've got this NFT and at least an external party took a look at it and was like, yep, I'm an expert in the field. I'm disinterested in pass or fail, but I assert that this makes sense. You can grab that and just fucking swing on it and say, where's my thing? And
also, it works both ways, because I've been on the other, we've both been on the other side with, the client going, this isn't right yet. I was going, tell me why it's not right. I don't know. It's just not right. And it's like, so then you're saying, well, what is it? This is an open check? I mean, for websites, or website design is a perfect example. It's like the client's not happy, can't specify exactly why not happy. And so you're left on the hook because the contract says you're going to make sure the client's happy. QA, you bring that QA guy in and you both agree to do that. The QA guy says, well, actually, this is all right, but if you just like sort this bit out, you'll be fine. That is hugely important. Right, good. Okay, right.
Okay, so this is the thing I want to walk off with. are you okay with working in that pool now? Did that go in the direction that you thought
yes, yeah,
it should go?
It's entirely congruent with what I've been aiming for, and from the issues that we've got, and especially with the discussions on it, we're on sync on this one. There's absolutely no problems. And the other thing is an interesting point on work on issues is just dust, unless an issue. Perhaps we should have it at the start of an issue is saying what asset are we talking about, because there's a thing about having an issue just out there, a worry bead, and there's a thing about actually you're working on this.
Right, so it should really have a label.
Right.
It should really have a label tagging the NFT or NFTs that this issue relates to.
Yeah.
If possible. Like, because some issues you're like, I don't even know where that goes.
Exactly.
Right?
That's just a worry bead, isn't it? It's like, oh shit, we should deal with this. Don't know, but it's not asset against an asset. It's like, well, you can't log anything on this. So
I mean, fuck, this is fascinating, because that's sort of what happened today. I was reading it, and then I was like, if we had a pool, it would solve this problem. No one asked for a pool. I think we need one. God, like, that took the entire day. To make that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of other ways it could have been done.
Well, it's the unseen stuff. It's unseen stuff. I sometimes worry on the pomos. I put up pomos like, oh, let's take 8 pomos, and we're only talking about maybe 600 words. It's like, really? it's not the 600 words. It's the 3,000 words I didn't write.
The only time I ever get bothered about that is when I'm like, to produce what fucking asset, Maxwell? Like, I'm sure you know how to spend your time, but what asset were you trying to make?
I think that's the key thing on the issues, and that's very useful that you brought up that, and makes absolute sense in retrospect. So,
NFTs, I mean, there's just a bundle of good things that they're bringing, and another one is keeping each other on target, because you're like, I have my NFT. I can say hand on heart that I tried my hardest to hit that thing, or I got lost today. Sorry.
Yeah. Now there's an interesting question that's coming up, which I'm not proposing we talk about now. But when you put a US dollar mark on this pool, say if we've got $1,000 to sort out R10 request idea, and we end up logging 1,000 hours each, and so we end up getting 50 cents an hour, and so on. So there's a trade-off about how that's done, because putting money from a pool into a request idea is similar to the kind of forward gazing into a crystal ball about actually what's going to cost that we're trying to avoid with cap tables. So it's an interesting thing there, but not for today.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking about it, seeing that table. It's like, if that's £1,000, and like, okay, we end up spending 1,000 hours each in order to get that. Number one, we could be incompetent. Number two, it could be much harder than we expected. And if it's much harder than expected, it's because the crystal ball was wrong. When we're doing our initial gazing, and shit happens, and software well, fucking everything from mining to freaking warfare.
Like, if you have this system in place, you can then be like, is the request still worth more than the effort? Hell yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah. There's something valuable there we're about to hit. Yeah.
I feel like this is a major milestone, being able to have a pool up.
Yeah. I should only be really working on a locked request idea, and you've got request R10.
Or you're working on the metadata of a request that hasn't passed QA yet, or an idea that hasn't passed QA.
Right, but if it's not past QA, it's not going to be listed under open.
Correct.
So I can log time against it. I can like log pomos against it, but it's like
you can log time against something that isn't in the pool.
not against the pool. The pool was disinterested or uninterested in the time it takes to get to the
You're
start.
logging the time. You're logging the time against the NFT by its ID, which is constant, whether it's outside the pool or inside
okay.
the pool.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Right.
You can even get funding for your NFT outside the pool, and then bring it into the pool to get part of the pool's funding.
Well,
That's fine too.
well, both of us are getting funding. I'm getting funding from Jude right now. It's in a very real sense. So, okay. Is there anything else to go through? Let me have a look at the issues. As I said, I've done one quick read through and then a close read through of about half of them. No, how are you feeling on the meta level? How are you feeling at the backwards and forwards on the issues? Are you feeling that's a good use of time?
Painful but good. It's painful but good.
Right. Okay. I'll keep doing that.
Like it really just highlights the problems of the system, and I feel it is a breakthrough to be able to just only have agreement from you that we're only working on NFTs.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
That's what I wanted very strongly since the start of the year, and
I know
it feels like we're getting.
There you got it. Well, from my point of view, it's weirdly much more productive to work through issues than calls. Now, it's great having a call, especially when there's something quite big and meaty to get through. That would take a lot. But the level of granularity that we're talking about the issues, it feels it's better to talk about that and the issues as opposed to a call. Because with a call, we've got the recording, we've got the review of it.
So long as we're focused on trying to close the issues, and so long as the issues are related to the output of some asset, that's fine. I love the system of working in comparison to any others. I say it's hard because it's just these are the problems with the Dreamcatcher, and we have to get through them. And so I'm glad that we're doing it, but it is hard.
Yeah. Good. All right. Well, what I propose then is rather than just go through verbally what you've already got in issues, I'll record it in issues, and on each of the issues, I'll also try and attach that to an NFT. I think the next thing I need to do is to finish that request ID or lock, because it's saying it's locked, but it's not locked. Because the idea is not.
I put that in as an example just to show you the pools. Otherwise, the formatting looked super gay.
But yeah, that's like the meta lock on this one. I mean, we could go all the way, turtles all the way up in this case, but there's no point.
Simple. Yeah. So I'll now that I assume you're okay with it.
Yep.
I'll start the